So now that we know how to extract functions from our protocols, it's time to create resources using these functions. So let's dive immediately into DataMiner. This time we're going to the apps, to the resources apps. And in this app, we see, first of all our resource pools. These pools are created manually in the system. So I have here a pool for each of my function, and I gave each pool a particular prefix. I gave it the virtual platform prefix, my satellite, or SAT. Remember, this is the same one as I had in my Bookings Manager application. I defined here a default virtual platform, SAT. Well, I gave it the same prefix over here. And then I named it after the function name. All of these pools need to be created manually, and you can simply do that by selecting the global section and then you press the add button. You enter a name and you're good to go. Now, what else do we see here on this screen? If I go to my demodulating pool, for example, I have here, of course, all of my demodulating resources in a list. Each of these, when I select one of these resources, each resource has properties. And we see here from this section here that each resource has a status which can be available or maintenance or unavailable. You can see from which element it is created. So this resource is created from my London RX 8200 receiver, and it's currently available in the surveyor with this function DVE. So this corresponds to my, it's my demodulating function. So this one corresponds to this function DVE over here. I see that it has a concurrency of 1. That means that this resource can only booked once at a time. And it has no capacity management for now. You can also optionally have some properties over here. By clicking add, you can add a name and a value for a particular property for that resource. These are resource properties. If I go to the properties tab over here, these are properties on pool level. And then the next tab page is actually a timeline. And this timeline is showing us when a particular resource is booked by which booking at what time. So similarly as in the Bookings Manager application, you can again scroll and navigate in time to search the occupancy of certain resources. Now, when I double click on one of these resources, I see some more information. What do we see over here? We have a name. That's the name of my resource. The status, as we saw also under the property section. When a resource is set to unavailable or in maintenance, it will never appear in the Bookings Manager application and it will not be bookable. Then we see the element, the function DVE element. We have our function instance name. That is the name that will appear also in the surveyor right after the parent name, basically. The concurrency can be adjusted from here. This time it's 1. From here we can also add some capacity parameters. I will not go into detail over here in this video. That's something for later. For now, just know that from this section you can manage your capacity. Same story for capability. I can add several capability parameters over here, but again, details about capabilities will be touched in another video. If you would have resource properties, they would also appear underneath the capabilities. Now, how can we add here new resources to this overview or to this pool, to this resource pool? That can be done by clicking this add function button, and then we see a list of all of our functions. These are all the available functions in the system. If you are using parent functions, you have to select first the child function, the actual function for in this case, for example, the RX 8200. And once you selected your function, you can select a provider. What is a provider? A provider is the element from which you will create your resource. Once you selected that element, you see all the possible resources that can be created from that element, from that device. This time it is an RX 8200. This one has an entry point table with 4 lines, and for each of them I can create a resource by just clicking this create button. If I would check the same on my NovelSat, you don't see those lines as in the instances table here because it did not even have an entry point table. You can only extract one resource from a NovelSat device. So once you selected or clicked this create button, you will see your resource inside this table already. However, it will have no settings defined. So you will need to yourself define a new name, a function, instance name, your concurrency, all your capacity parameters, all your capabilities, all your properties need to be added at this stage. Now you probably noticed also that you have here another button here, this add button. What's the difference between add function and add? If you click the add button, you can also add a resource to this pool here. However, this one is not linked to any function. So this is used, for example, it can be in several use cases, but for example, it can be used for adding IPs or multicast addresses to a particular pool, because this is something that also can be booked. However, it's not tied to a particular protocol or function.